knew it was you.
You? Picard, if you had half the sense you pretend to have, you would get her off your ship immediately.
Hello, welcome to Star Trek Sodium. This week we have Star Trek Next Generation Season 2 episode, Q Who. In this curious episode, the amazing Q reappears and thrusts the Starship Enterprise across the galaxy to the Delta Quadrant. Now, the original plan for the episode was for the crew of the Enterprise to come face to face with a more raw and basic enemy than the Klingons, a nomadic race who scavenge and steal and have a loose code of honor. These people were to be called the Kazon, but this plan was dropped for a more simple idea. They would instead come across a group of humanoid robot cyborgs called the Borg, who would menace the Enterprise while having pipes come out of their faces and arms.
Think of the advantages. Now, I neither expect nor require any special treatment. And if necessary, although I
Gene
can't
Roddenberry
imagine...
would reportedly say that this episode was one of his very favourites from Season 2 of The Next Generation. But conversely, Rick Berman said that he hated this episode and that the Borg were a stupid idea that would never be popular, not even in 1,000,000 billion years. Now, for those of you with eagle eyes, you may have noticed on reflection that in this episode, Marina Sirtis doesn't open her mouth, not even once. That's because the weekend before this episode began filming, she'd been at a Hollywood golf course with Lever Burton and his cousin Tim, and a terrible unfortunate had happened to her. A golf ball had smashed into her face at full power. An emergency dentist had fortunately been able to repair the damage seamlessly, but in order for the glue to set the teeth in place, she was unable to speak for 12 days after the important procedure. The name of this soapy episode is Q Who, which is a very clever name as it references the name of the popular character Q, who appears in the episode. But did you know that there are even more possible names for the episode that were not chosen for one reason or another? Other names in contention for this episode were Q Force, Q Delta, Q Lie, Q Wash, Q Mass, Q Law, Echidna, Q Pass, Q Leo, and Q Beat Neutral. The name that they finally went with was none of these disregarded names. It was Q Who, which happens to be the name of the episode. New Star Trek storyboard artist Lance Ranner had famously approached Rick Berman again with another bold idea. He would produce a new format of episode art that would inspire the youth of today to view a show that they would normally just scoff at. A week later, and Lance brought in his finished poster. No original versions of this artwork exist, but based on rumours, it looked exactly like this. Not only did Rick Berman not understand anything about the image at all, but he ordered all copies of it destroyed. He wasn't against Lance trying new things, but he just didn't understand what he was looking at. Lance was ordered to continue his good work and to try again for the next episode. It was during the production of Q Who that the science fiction war of 1988 was really starting to heat up. As a measured way of getting revenge on the filmmakers of Short Circuit 2, who had been taking disrespectful shots at Star Trek all summer, the hiring team at Paramount hired the voice actor of Short Circuit's Johnny Five to star as one of the Borg characters. It just so happened that this very Borg character is the one that the Enterprise crew shoot to bits, as an on-screen warning to Short Circuit 2 to be careful and stay away from Star Trek unless they might suffer the same fate. The scene in the finished product has Commander Data shoot a phaser beam out of his phaser at the Borg drone, played by the Johnny Five actor, and the Borg character suffers a demoralizing loss as his head is blown to bits. Now, that wasn't the only Borg drone that was blown to bits in this episode, though. There was one more that was blown to bits even more. During the conclusion of the episode, we see Riker blast a Borg drone with his space gun, and the Borg drone explodes in the largest controlled explosion on modern television. They achieved the explosion by not using a real actor, but by using a dummy that looks like a real actor. A dummy that was filled with explosives on the inside and Borg costume on the outside. When they were ready for the scene, everyone put on ear protectors as the life-size Borg drone exploded into a million amazing fragments. The problem that they had, though, was the explosion recklessly damaged the Enterprise set, setting back filming by 2 weeks as they had to rebuild a large part of the engineering set, and it also critically damaged one of the Star Trek V sets, which was being filmed at the exact same time, only meters away. William Shatner famously commented that if the explosion was 1 more meter to the left, it would have also exploded Nichelle Nichols' fragile body and would have missed her future acting and singing.
Look to the sky every morning. Think on your goals.
At the end of season 1, actress Gates McSomething was thrown out of the studio, and Wesley Crusher had to become an orphan for the 2nd season. One plan that they had in place was for Commander Riker to become more of a fatherly figure to Wesley. So to give him more of a mature fatherly look, William Frakes decided to grow a beard as hard as he could. He would concentrate for several minutes each day, trying to grow the beard as fast as he could, in time for season 2 and the fatherly commencement of his character to Wesley. Thankfully, the father figure storyline was dropped, but Rick Berman was so in love with the beard that he allegedly put it in Frakes' contract that he had to keep it forever. Sometimes the truth couldn't be further from the truth. As filming commenced on this Hensing episode, the actor who plays Q had possibly come down with a vile case of scabies. He was constantly itching his seeping skin and coughing everywhere like someone caught in an illness machine. Gene Roddenberry paid out of his own pocket for the Q actor to visit a scabies clinic in upstate New York so that he could have the finest treatment before taking to the screen. Eagle-eyed viewers would notice that once on board the Borg's curious square ship, Data discovers a hatchery which contains thousands of tiny Borg infants. The original idea for this episode was for Data to suffer a series of flashbacks to the past, where he's reminded that he himself was once born as a Borg decades before. The original story would devote a few minutes to Data reminiscing about growing up as a Borg and then having his memory wiped when created by Dr. Sung and being discovered by Starfleet. This whole idea was dropped, though, as it made little to no sense to anyone involved, no matter how much Rick Berman pushed for it to be included. Thanks for listening to my fascinating facts about Q Who. Hopefully you've learned a thing or two, or even maybe about 9 or 10. I hope you enjoyed the fact. I hope you enjoyed my facts so much that you'd like to hit like and subscribe and deliver a lovely and dangerous comment to me, perhaps telling me something I didn't know about one of these intriguing Star Trek episodes. I'll see you next time as we do more facts about Star Trek. Ta-ta. Ta-ta.